Hi everyone, welcome to monthly project number 10. This one we did action poses, which is a lot of fun, one of my favourite things to do. And the task was to draw a character or a scene in action. Here are all the submissions. We've had heaps, a lot. This is probably one of the biggest monthly projects we've had yet, I would say. I've just had so many submissions, and it looks like you all had a lot of fun with it, and a lot of great work. I love checking all this out. I mean, look at all this art. There's so many awesome pictures here. And as you're probably aware, I have recently introduced a competition into these projects. So that gives the $10 patrons per month a chance to win a free critique, because I know it can be really hard to get into the $14 tier. I've only got a limit of 10 people. So I've made an overall competition where, the $10 patrons have a chance to win a critique. And this month I decided to do two. So these are the two winners, and the reason I chose two was because I just could not decide between these two pieces. So we've got William and Paul. You both have won this month, so both of you guys will get a free critique, and I will give you some feedback on your work, show you some adjustments and what we can do to improve it. So congratulations guys, absolutely awesome work. Alright, so let's dive into it. We're going to start with the general submissions, and then after that we'll do the critiques. First up is Pat, and check this one out. I love it. This is a great Spidey pose, very intense. I really love the reefing on that web there. Such a cool action pose. This is exactly what we're after for this challenge. So well done on that. I think that is awesome. So well done, Pat. I love that one. And next up is Cy, and he submitted two pieces this month, which is fine by me. You started off with Blade, so have a look at this one. That is awesome. I really like that pose, very intense. And then Daredevil, and you got Daredevil versus Bullseye in the back there. He's like throwing a bunch of cards at him. Love these action poses. Well done on those, Cy. I love that. Especially your Daredevil pose. It's just so dynamic. Next up is Jordan. Now this one was a really close one for winning the critique. This is just amazing work. Have a look. I'm going to dive in a bit closer. And this is based on the character, the Batman Who Laughs. And look, you've done an amazing job on all of these details. I just really love the amount of detail that you've put into all your work. It's very, very detailed sketching. I really dig all that. Congrats on this. I really like this one. And you've outdone yourself, Jordan. I think that's great. Next up, we've got Artyom, and you've done Wolverine. This is very intense action, very high action here. Sentinel coming after wolves, and a different type of Wolverine here. I love this. This is awesome, and a really cool pose as well. Yeah, that's awesome, that one. I love that. And next up is John's piece. This one, I love this because I'm a big fan of the game. Venom looks awesome. I remember seeing your updates on Venom. And you've really killed it with him. You've done a great job. And the action poses are spot on. High action, intense. The flow is awesome, so it's directional. He's really reefing on that other web in the back there. And yeah, well done on that, John. I think that's amazing. And here we have a submission from Jazood. This is awesome. This is from Endgame. So the Avengers versus Thanos. And have a look. This is really cool. You've got multiple characters coming in. The action is so intense and full on. Yeah, it's nice to see a really full piece there. Multiple characters. That's not easy to do, so you should be really happy with yourself with that one. I would have really loved to see this just a little lighter so we can see it a lot clearer. Next up is Ty, and you've got this awesome Cyclops submission here. Look at him. He's really raging out. Visor, what is it? His glasses have broken off. This is awesome. I love the intensity. Very cool pose. High action. So nice work. And here's a submission from Craig. This is cool. You've got Spider-Man mashed up with Dr. Octopus. I'm not familiar with this, if this is official or anything like that, but I like the idea. And your pose is awesome too. You've got this really good flow through it. Well done. I think that's a really cool pose. Very intense, and foreshortening is really cool too. Yeah, nice work, Craig. And here's a submission from Daniel. We got Batman. This is awesome. So this looks like the new Robert Pattinson Batman suit. I'm really excited for that movie. So yeah, nice. You've done a whole scene here. You've got Gotham. The perspective's really great. So you've got a really cool angle going on there. So yeah, really good work, Daniel. I'd love to see some more like this. So yeah, good work. Next up is Jordan, and have a look at this. This is awesome. I've seen all the progress from this since the start of the month. I really like what I'm seeing here. These designs are crazy. It makes me think, what are these bears? Why are they wearing suits? It's like the old mythology kind of thing set up, especially with this Minotaur guy. And yeah, the pose is awesome. Really, really intimidating. Powerful pose as well. Very powerful. Such a cool looking pose. And your line work is really nice too. So yeah, I love it. I think you've done a great job. So you should be really proud of yourself with that one, Jordan. Here's a submission from Darren. Really cool high action poses here. So that's awesome. He's really copped it from her. That's crazy. Love the energy in this. That pose is awesome too. Yeah, nice work. Yeah, very nice work. Very cool setup and nice high action. So yeah, thanks Darren. I really like that. Looking forward to seeing some more from you. We've got Douglas. This looks like a bit of fun. I like this. He's really clocked this guy around the head, and it's kind of like a video game setup. Yeah, really interesting. I always love checking out your stuff and just zooming in because your detail just doesn't end. You can zoom out, and it actually seems quite simple until you start zooming in and you're like, holy crap, it just keeps going. Especially here, all this kind of feathered look. Thanks, Douglas. That's awesome. Next up is Aaron, and you've done this cool female character pose here. That's awesome. Very high energy, especially with these electric bolts coming through. This is like a gateway to dimensions or something, unless it's in space. But that's awesome. I really want to know more about this. So yeah, nice work, Aaron. I think that's great. And here we have a submission from Christian, and he's quite new here. So Christian, welcome to Patreon and the monthly projects. Now, this isn't so much of an action pose, but he wanted to just submit something for the month. So I really like your style here. You've got this really nice, sleek, kind of cartoony style, which I really like. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what you can come up with as well. So yeah, welcome, Christian. This is awesome. Next is Matt, and he's done this cool one. Check it out. Nice full action scene. You've got everything in it. You've got a whole setup, the whole street scene, and yeah, some like action poses going on there. So yeah, nice work, Matt. I think that's really cool. Bit of a last minute submission there, just in time. I was just recording as I got it. So yeah, thanks for that. I'll start with our first winner of the competition of the month. So William has done this God of War piece. How cool is this? I love it. And so that's without the title, and that's with. So, you know, just have a look at this. Let's zoom in a bit. I want to really appreciate it. So I just love your execution. The overall style I love. Really nice bold lines, and you've got really nice value that goes right through them as well. And you've even got nice colorization of the lines as well. You see that your line work, you are colorizing it with the body, so it just doesn't stand out so black and harsh, you know, when it's like a bit too intense. So you're kind of softening that out a bit. It just gives this really nice kind of finishing look on it. You've really outdone yourself. So let's get into the critique a bit. All right, so great overall. I'm going to start by just fixing a couple of size issues. It's only minor, so I'm just going to size that head down. I've just kind of cut it out a bit, and I'll put it about there. And it's also this blade as well. I've cut that out as well. So that blade is just a bit too big. And another thing that I really want to do is he needs a little bit more mass inside of him, like make him a bit more burly. Do you know what I mean? A bit thicker, a bit wider. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, just a bit more. Do you see what I mean? So I'll just go back. So that's just before and then after. Just that little bit of thickness through the waist, just a bit more. I'm also just going to try something with the head as well, which I think might help. Because of the angle, I'm just going to see what it looks... Oh, that's not right. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to see what it looks like if I do something like this. So if I just pull it up just a bit. I don't want to change it too much on you, but I just wanted to try this, and I think it might work better. So that's before I did the change, and then after. Kratos has got a really thick kind of real masculine kind of jaw. So I kind of brought that out a bit more, sized up the bottom of his head and face, and especially the teeth. See, they're a little bit small here, the teeth. So I just kind of sized them up to be a bit bigger. And I kind of sized his skull down a little bit on the top there. Okay, so I've made some adjustments with Liquify, mostly, just to the body proportions and such. The best way to show it is a before and after. So if I just show you the original, so here we go. This is just before I started, and then now. Just to show you playing on this foreshortening and the perspective that we're looking at. So one thing I've done is I've really, like I said, I kind of shrunk the head down a bit. So I shrunk that down. And what I've done is I've added more mass through the body. So if you see before, he just kind of, it can come across that he's a shorter guy, maybe a shorter stature, you know. But Kratos is supposed to be quite tall and masculine, like big, wide chest and things like that. So I've sized him a bit better using your artwork. I've just liquefied it, bloated him out a bit, shrunk the head. Another thing is I've got this arm out here, but I wanted it to kind of bend back a bit. See how that's kind of up more? I just like the angle of that forearm going that way. It's same with this one. I also brought the blade pointing in a bit more. That way you'll kind of nearly get that intimidating kind of the triangle pyramid shape through your blades. You know, you got this really striking pose, and I even angled this leg out to the side more because I really want that to come across. So everything's kind of pointing up, and you got this really nice, intimidating, awesome, impactful image using that technique. So before, the leg was kind of tucked straight down and a little bit back. It can come across just a little bit confusing with that leg there. So I've brought that out to the side. I've added some chunk to it, added that kind of calf muscle, and there you can see the foot that's attached as well, tucked back. The chain as well, I fixed that chain there. It was just a little stiff, and I just wanted some flow in that chain, so I put some wobble into it. This head here, I love the head. I love him in the game, but I really feel like he's getting a bit lost. He's blending with the background almost. If you zoom out, you probably wouldn't think there's a head there. Yeah, something like that maybe. You could always just have, you know, I've made it a bit darker. So what if I got the midtones? I'm just going to make it even more darker, and maybe just bring the highlights out on the top a little bit more, so it's still got that rendering that you've got. I don't know, maybe something like that. And then you can really, that outer glow would look really nice on it too. So that's another, like, now the head stands out and you can see it there. So that's a really good thing you could do. There's just one more thing I wanted to explain with the anatomy. Now, I've just put this fade over the top so I can explain, but if you look at these chest muscles, they're just really kind of small. But if you just ignored that strap and added the chest muscles, and I just thought, oh, maybe they're a little bit too small. So I've added a lot more thickness to try and make sure they're a lot more chunkier. So if they were in there now, Kratos has massive pecs, and now there's a lot more mass into them. So that's kind of what I wanted to... So just with the abs, if I have just the waist there, you've definitely got them set up right, which is good. But on the original, they were just a little bit too small and weren't lining up. So I tried to line them up a bit. So here's kind of what we're looking at without the clothing on. I've just drawn it out a little bit for you. So that's kind of how I would like the abs to be, a little bit bigger and wider across. Even these ones that I've warped are still a little bit small there. So if we just had a bit more mass in them, I think it would be would suit Kratos a lot more. But and if I just show you the original, I just wanted more of the line to swoop this way a little bit more. I feel like they're too much like they're aiming down that way, if you see what I mean. I want the crutches there. I kind of want them to swoop off the crutch line a little bit more and come around. They're very close, but yeah. But yes, overall, let's do a quick, we'll do that quick thing again. So That's just after the changes. So I hope that helps just to understand what we could do to bring Kratos out, make him look a bit more accurate. So that's before and after. Before and after. So take a look at the size of this weapon here. Was just a little bit big before. The head and the legs. That leg as well in that shape, and the head and the back. And yeah, but overall, that's it. Great work. I think you've done an absolutely awesome job on that. You should be really proud of yourself, William. And I'm glad I could finally critique your work as well. So congrats on the win. And I love your work. So yeah, hopefully those changes help. Yeah, thank you. Our next critique is Paul, and you are the second winner to win this critique for the monthly projects, and you've done a great job. It was really hard to decide between you and William, and yeah, I just couldn't pass this up. This was amazing. Look at this. We've got He-Man versus Skeletor from Masters of the Universe, and yeah, this is just amazing because it's exactly what the this monthly project is asking for as well. I mean, action-packed. Like, that is an action-packed image. I just love it. I love the poses. I love the intensity. The execution as well of everything. The outlines, the line work, the colouring. So well done on that, Paul. I think this is great. Look at your sketches over here too. They're really well drawn. Sorry. And I like what you've done here. So let's start on the critique and have a look. Okay, so I've just faded it back a little bit. I'm just gonna. There's just a few anatomy issues that I just want to fix up. We'll start with the leg here. I'd like to see this knee kind of pop out a little bit more. It's mostly there, but I want to be able to see it quite clearly. But it's this muscle here. Looks like it's a bit off. So what we need to do is we've got to have there's a bit of a bulge here, right? That'll come up about here, and then that kind of continues all the way up to up this way a little bit more. And then we have that one that you've got coming off this part, and then it'll come down and it'll kind of connect about there. And then this one is you've got it about right there, so that one will kind of come out and then it'll go up this way a bit. And then with this side, we're going to have it so you'll have the inner thigh. So that's the inner thigh that'll just keep continuing on, and it'll go up there. So we'll just do the other side of that knee there, and obviously it's going to kind of shade off about there, and then the calf can come off there. So that's kind of how we need to do the anatomy on that one. And all this part here will kind of be a bit shaded. Now you've got this one about right, but that muscle needs to, it's gone too far. You've got it connecting over the knee there. So we'll just have the knee, square off the knee. You got to think of that as the end of the bone. That bone which goes all the way through the leg like that, and we're just going to add muscle on top of it. So basically you'll have, same over here, see this one? That connects there. We're going to have that go up, and that could be the most prominent one there. You can have a bit of a visual of that back muscle on the other side there. But basically the one that you've connected there should stop about here really, about there, and then it kind of curls up a little bit there. You can start putting some shading in, but you've mostly got the shape right on this side. So that's good. And then your inner thigh can come in through there. And yeah, so just that knee, we can put a bit of shadow under it, make it look quite interesting. Another thing that's kind of just a little off is these are the abs, sorry. So if the crutch kind of comes off about here, right? And then I'll put the middle center line in there. You see your abs are kind of going out this way a little bit more. So if I follow that line, the belly button, they're kind of going down this way. They're aiming towards this leg. So the center line of the abs are kind of going off a bit too far to the right. I always think of the hip, and then you got that middle line where the crutch is. So I always kind of drew a little center line there, or visualize it in my head, and then that'll just flow up, and that's the center line of the abs, and then I'll start building the abs off that. Honestly, the anatomy of the rest of the body is really good. Like, you've got it all in the right places. And you know what? This is a really tricky pose. So hats off to you for nailing this one. I think it's great. Such a cool pose. So it's just these abs will probably go a bit more like, I always like to start here with the rib cage. So the rib cage will go there, usually comes up, down about there, and then we'll fold that up a bit more like that. And then you've got your lats, right? The lats are looking real good there. You got that nice kind of, the traps coming up through there, and back of that shoulder. You've really pulled that off, because this part here, see how you've got that shoulder, the back of the shoulder showing? Not many people remember that bit. You can see the whole shoulder is like a big ball, and it's at the back there as well. So a lot of people will just forget to put that bit in. So it's, I did too, personally. That's what I used to do a lot. I'd forget that back bit. Everything's looking good up on this end too. I'd probably just have your elbow kind of come out a little bit here, I'd say. It's just looking a bit thin. The elbow's a bit thin there, so. And that's good. The rest is looking really good. So with this bicep, so have the bicep come over, but then the bicep will continue through here, and it kind of points in, tucks in there. So at the moment your shoulder is coming down like that, but that shouldn't be like that. The shoulder is getting pulled over and down around that muscle, okay? So your shoulder would be more like this. So continue it on. You can have a bit of a shadow there for your shoulder, and then it's tucking over. And that's it. The rest is fine. You've got really good looking, like the fingers. I think everything looks great there. You got a really nice looking face. I love that. Looks cool. Looks really cool. Nice style. So yeah, if you just have a look at that anatomy there, on the leg muscles and the ab muscles, and the reason I'm pointing these out is because, obviously He-Man, it's all about anatomy. Like he's pretty much naked. so we just make sure we get that anatomy right, and your picture will just, it'll pop. It'll be the best. It'll be awesome. Yeah, I think the back leg here, that's probably just a little bit big, that foot. So I'd probably have the foot about there. You see how yours is just a little bit too long. It's a bit too long and big. And with Skeletor, I'd probably fix, he's mostly right, but I'd fix his legs. There we go. So I'd probably do them a bit more like that. Not so much, don't be so prominent with the toes, I reckon. Maybe if they're more hidden. And I'd probably have this other foot maybe half as stepping forward as if he was standing. Definitely calf muscles too. So I've just put the calf muscles in before they just weren't really showing. One last thing I'd say about the setup and the poses is I'd recommend doing something like this with Skeletor's head. This way you could see a lot more of Skeletor's face. And you've got the big opportunity to do it, because the movement that you've got this awesome swooping motion where he's just whacked him. But you could really have his head kind of, really getting whacked back and down even. So chin up more. So basically I've got him, really got his chin up more, and he's like whacked his head further back. And I think that would look really cool. Oh, just one more thing as well. One thing I wanted to mention. I highly recommend, I reckon his head would look cool if it was that way. I want to have that connection where he's actually looking at Skeletor. So now you've got the visualization where he's actually looking at him, whereas before it's kind of looks like he's looking away, even though I know you've got your eyes kind of pointing at him. I think it adds to the twist of the body as well. So you've got this really nice twist of motion where he's like really twisting his arm up. But yeah, I like the way that the head is more, it's turned this way. So yeah, that's it. I think that should really help. So the way that the anatomy and the muscles here work, and the legs and everything, that's really all that needs to be worked on, I think. And you've nailed it with everything else. I don't have any comments for colouring. I love the colour choices that you've got going through. Yeah, amazing work. I think that's awesome. And you've really outdone yourself there, Paul. So I hope those changes helped. And yeah, keep it up. I want to see some more. Thanks heaps. Okay, next is Jason. You've done a cool Deadpool. Check this out. I love this. This is a really cool action pose. I like that. I think that's awesome. Nice looking Deadpool. So yeah, let's dive into your critique a bit. So one of the first things I'm probably noticing is the line work's just a little bit scratchy here and there. If we cleaned that up, that would really help your art style as well. So you've got this nice, like from a distance, you've got this really nice kind of clean look about your style. It's really nice. So if you had clean line work to match it, it would really just top it right off. Another thing I think overall that I'd really like to see in this piece is the backdrop. I really think would be better if it was lighter. So maybe if I did like I can either do like a red glow behind him or a red fade. Just something to lift it off a little bit, I reckon. Even if it was something like that, you know, that's the original, that's what it was before. But if it was just lightened up, I'd really love to see, you know, show off your pose more. It's kind of hidden if you zoom out a bit, especially from a while away. You can't really tell what's in there, what's happening. So you want to really make sure it really stands out. So have a nice lighter backdrop maybe. And I'm kind of not much of a fan of the strong yellow on the edges. Maybe if it was just toned back a bit, just maybe a fainter or a lighter one. So it's kind of like more of a lighter one. And I'd love to see the other eye as well. So if we just got that in, really top it off there. There we go. And just some other things. The anatomy is a little bit wonky just in some areas that we need to kind of tidy up a little bit. Just how we should tidy him up a bit. So tricep, just have that nice and straight, nice and simple. There we go. And that can be just the wrist. Have that kind of just go up a bit like that. Now, just the back of this wrist kind of, that hand just looks a bit off, but you're not too far off. You're close. You just need to have the palm come around like that. We're going to get rid of that bit there. There we go. So that's a bit better. Okay, so just before I did those little changes with anatomy, I tidied up the arms here a little bit. Let's have a look after. So that's just after. That's, you can see here just a little smoother around these edges. So the triceps just quite simple. Before it's just a little bumpy. Just see it's like a little squished in there. So I've just kind of got the bicep nice and tucked nicely there. So it's basically just tidying up a bit really. And just played around with this anatomy. So I just wanted to have that elbow in there somewhere. So this just needed to be a little bit bigger in here, the tricep and the bicep. And that hand down just a little smaller. And tidied up some line work. So, and yeah, the coloring's good. I really like that. Keep up that cell shaded look as well. So that's before and that's after. See how just a backdrop can really help your character a bit more. So another thing that I'd like to do is I'm going to get the dodge tool now. So see this here. This is the dodge tool. I've got it set to mid-tones. I'm going to go and do an overall kind of just highlight of some parts of the body that I would like to see a little lighter, just to make it all pop, and then other parts that I would like to see darker. So especially this side of the head. And now I'm going to go the burn tool now. Still keep it on mid-tones, and I'm going to darken this side. Trying to give it some dimension really. And what would it look like if I really darkened down that leg that's tucked? Because that's kind of in shadow a little bit. That's tucked under his body and a little bit further away. So this is a good way to kind of add dimension to your final rendering. Once it's complete, get the burn tool and the dodge tool out and start just highlighting certain areas where you think the light might hit, and then darkening areas where you think they should be in shadow a little bit more. Okay, now I'm just going to get the sponge tool out, set it to saturate, because I want to saturate some parts, and see how I'm just doing a once over on the top half. We're really getting a nice, rich, strong red now. Okay, last thing I'm going to do is dodge tool, set it to highlights, and I really want to get that blade real nice and shiny. So I'm going to go quite intense on it. I'm not going to hold back. Now I'll just show you what that looked like just before I did that highlight. So this is just before I added that dimension to it. So after, see how it's just nicer, looks a bit more polished. So that's before and that's after. So before can like look a bit flatter, Whereas after, and you do a little bit of those touch-ups, it's really going to bring it to life a little bit more after. And then look at these blades. They're nice and shiny now. They look like silver. So yeah, there you go, Jason. I hope that helps. So that's your before there, and then after. Just lighten them up a bit. You really want to show off your pose, so try not to use a dark background that's too dark, because it's almost the same kind of mid-tone as Deadpool himself. So they're blending a little bit. So separate them, really get that contrast, and make your artwork kind of, it'll pop. It'll just really stand out a lot more. So yeah, I hope that helps, mate. Awesome work, awesome Deadpool as well. I really like him. Now look at this. This is Deegan's submission. This is awesome. We've got Omni-Man here. You've got that full rage going on. Look at the line work, so crisp. This is really nice. Yeah, this is really good, Deegan. You've done a really good job. All right, well, let's dive into a bit of a critique for you. Now, one of the first things that I think would work really good for this picture is a better crop or a better space around it. I'll just show you exactly what I mean. So I'm just going to draw a box here that I've got a fixed size to it, which is A3. The crop is a little too tight or too vertical, the crop. See this? That's the original there. So it's just too vertical. So that's the first thing I would say. The rest is just, we've got some sizing, some anatomy kind of stuff going on. So I'll just show you what I'll do with that. Okay, first thing that I want to do is I'll just size the head down just a tiny bit. It's just the back leg is far too small, so I'll just size that up a bit there like that. And then the last one, I want to size this back arm up a fair bit. There we go. So I'll fix that up a bit. The leg mainly still needs a bit of work, so I'm just going to do some... I'll just do some Liquify to it. So this leg was still too short, so I made it extra long. Yeah, so what I've done is this center line here of Omni-Man's suit that comes down, the center of the abs, before it was a bit wonky and a bit too far over this way to the right, you can see. So it should be centered to his nutsack. Should be centered to around that area is where it should start, and then go up and around. He's got this nice bend in his body, so have that kind of come around there. And the abs, I just kind of centered those a bit more. This shoulder, like Omni-Man's massive, so I had it pop out even more. So here's the original before I started, and this is now after the adjustments. So original, and now. Let's do that again. So the head was just slightly too big. I shrunk it down. This forearm here, that was just a little thin too, not thick enough, so I thickened it up. The back arm, I made it bigger and broader, so his shoulders are broader and the arms out more. His abs and the center line, I fixed that up. And mainly this back leg here. So this leg, I know, like, I can see what you were trying to do, kick it back more, but it works a lot better coming out. And now I'm just going to size this. Let's make him fit into a better spot so we can really get a good look at your artwork. And we've got a better cropped frame now. So the original was like this, quite tight on the edges. So I just went A3 size, and now we've got more room to play with. And you can see, so that's before and after. So there you go. That gives you a nice look at it. So before and after, there you go. So just with your line work, I'm absolutely in love with these thick black lines you got on the outside, but on the inside of a character, I don't think it works as well having them that thick. See how thick this one is here? So I'd prefer to either pass it off as shading like this. So we'll tone them back. So there's that option where you can really just fade it back. So I'll show you without. So that's without that layer, and then with. I think if you thin them out, just showing you. There, you see what I mean? So that's without, and then without. Yeah, so thinner basically. And I just think that looks a lot nicer. So you can see the difference. See that? So you can go either way. You can have it like that, or you can have it like that. Actually, I think I like it better with the detailing. Maybe do both. So have it like that, but also do the fade off so they're not black. So I think that'd be a good way to go. If that's something that you want to do. I tell you what, mate, if you can tidy this up and do these changes and like do some adjustments, I would love to get a copy of this. I'd love to buy one off you. I'm a big Invincible fan, and I just think this is an amazing Omni-Man artwork. So also, highly recommend, once you're done with this piece, post it up on the subreddit. So go on Reddit, and then post it up in the Invincible subreddit as some fan art by yourself, and it will blow up. Honestly, this is one of those ones that would definitely blow up on there. So absolutely awesome artwork, Deegan. Yeah, I hope that helps. I hope you make some adjustments. This is awesome artwork, and yeah, you've kicked it out of the park. It's great. You've done a great job. All right, thanks, mate. All right, next is Brett. Check out this Walking Dead artwork. This is awesome. Really cool. I've been seeing some progress on this as well through the Discord. You had a lot of updates in there. This is awesome. Keeping it simple, good idea. Like, we can really get a good look at this action pose now. And yeah, let's dive into a critique. I just want to see what happens if I give it a bit of a liquify. I want to try and see if we can get some more foreshortening or dimension in there. So I'm trying to bring everything forward a bit. Yeah, there we go. So I'll just show you. So before and after. Before and after. And basically what this has done is given it a lot more dimension, like and foreshortening a little bit. So it's kind of like the zombie is now closer to us. And then we've got, it's Rick, isn't it? So, and then further back to the axe. So just a little more dimension. The zombie was just kind of getting a bit small there. So I've made him, sized him up as if he's a bit closer to us. And that way you get that impact. You really get that elbow, and it's all kind of coming at you a little bit. And it just feels a bit more impactful and energetic. There we go. I just had to bring his waist in. I kind of gave him a little bit of a gut by doing that. I didn't realize. Now, another thing that I want to do is just to add a little bit more depth and dimension into it. We're going to do a little bit more shading down on Rick's lower half. So I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, there we go. So I'll just show you. So that's without that shade and then with. So I'm basically darkening off just this lower part, and it will give more dimension, and you're actually going to see this arm a little bit better. I probably would also actually have that back leg showing just a bit more, maybe about here. So even if it's just a hint to know that there was a leg tucked away back there. A couple of other things is probably just this part here, that black outline. Let's get rid of that, and we'll just stick with the body, and you can make it a bit sketchy. These black lines on the back of the zombie, we can just tone them down a bit. They're just a little bit too intense. Any of these little fine lines, let's just smooth them out a bit. There we go. So I've just toned it down a little bit on the detail with the black outlines on the guy. It's a little softer, a little bit better. Now, see, even the vein here, all of this just comes through a little too intense with the black outlines and everything else. So I've just kind of toned them down a bit. So have a look under the shoulder here. So that there, and that arm up there. So much better now. Just nice consistency, even with Rick's arm. So check out Rick's arm here. So then black outlines, they're so sharp and intense that they can kind of come across as maybe some, like cuts or something. So we want to tone them back so that they feel more like muscle volume and muscle texture and things. So like it's a part of the arm. There we go. So that's just a bit nicer. You can even just do it as shading. It doesn't have to be even outlines. We can just do some nice cell shading that goes across it instead. And that'll look nice. Another thing, just this neck muscle here, I'll just show you. We really need that to connect, so I'm just going to do a free transform and warp, and we really need that to connect about there instead. And we can even tone it down a little bit. It doesn't have to be so bright. There we go. And intense, just tone it down a bit. So I'll show you what it was before. It was that. So it connected just a bit too far over. So I've just brought it in a little bit and toned it down. So there we go there. You see the difference there? You got to think of the spine coming straight up through. And another thing, same as before, just with the hair. I'd like to see those lines, those dark black lines. I'd like to kind of remove those a bit and just kind of have them as more of a color. And some of these lines on the face as well, we'll tone them back to a color also. I'd also love to see some of the color choices just a bit better. So what I mean is just with the hair, that yellowy kind of tone, I feel like it's a bit too much. So I think it's got too much of a green tint into it. And same with the eyes, they're just it's too much of an icy blue. So what we'll do is I'm just toning that down a bit. There we go. So just so it's more natural, just more of a natural one. It's a bit too intense before. So that's what it was before with the eyeballs. So and then after. So it's just a little bit more natural, a bit more toned down. Okay, one more thing I want to do, and I always do this, is I get the dodge tool, and I love doing this. With your final picture, when you're happy with it, you know, go with the dodge tool. Just do a couple of little touch-ups with it. So I've flattened it. Now I'm just going to do an overall kind of, maybe I'll start with mid-tones. Lighten them up a bit, so on the top where it's going to be a bit more like that. There we go. Same with the zombie on the head. Definitely with that head there, I want to lighten that a bit. And then I'm going to get the burn tool and start doing, I've got the mid-tone selected and I'm starting to burn. So definitely under the lower this zombie goes, I'm going to darken right down there like that. I think that'll look really cool, especially around here when this arm bends around. I want it to get darker as it gets further away, and that'll show dimension as well. And one big swoop to give it a nice lit kind of look. There we go. I want to kind of really saturate the meat inside of this dead guy. There we go. All right, let's have a look. All right, there we go. So you've got more of a final looking piece here. I probably would also like to see a backdrop. I would love to see a backdrop in the back of this, whether it's just details of other zombies. I'm just going to fade it back a bit. There you go. So I've just put a slight glow behind your character as well, just lifting it out a little bit more pop. All right, let's look at the original. So that's the original. I'll just zoom out and have a quick look. About there. All right, so original and now. Original and now. And it's just kind of like final touches, really. So your work was done. This was done, and all I did was a couple of tweaks, and you can really, it shows that you can really do some nice final touches just with some playing around. So I hope this video kind of helps. No, good work. I love your stuff, Brett. I think that's awesome. I love your style. So I really can't wait to see you do some more. Love what you do. So keep it up, mate, and I hope this helps. Okay, next is Apex Arts. You've done awesome here. I love Portal. Portal is such a good game. So you've got this work here. Here's the main character, and she's got her classic kind of Portal gun, and looks like she's dodging some bullets, which is pretty cool. That's awesome. Yeah, all right, let's dive into the critique. Now, your line work's looking good. I'd like to see, a little bit more consistency just across these parts. So if we just had the same kind of line work or level going across, sorry, I'll just fix that there, and then across up through there, that'd be nice, and down there as well. I think just overall just a little confusing in like composition wise. Really good techniques, drawing, setup, but it's the actual composition is the problem. I think it's just with the face too. It just needs a little bit more enthusiasm, like she's leaping across and in action. So I don't know whether it would be showing some teeth or something like that, or a little bit more squint in the eyes, like she's really leaping forward and pushing through. So a little bit more intensity in the face definitely would help. I think it's also just being upside down is where it gets confusing. It's hard to read, a little bit hard to read and understand. But that's just one of the things I wanted to point out. But let's work with the pose, and we'll see what we can help you with here. So this back leg, I really would have liked to see, I'll just show you, because I know you've got it coming from about there, so I probably would have liked to see the thigh up a little bit more. have just a little bit more flow in the back leg, and I think just a little bit bigger as well. Then you have the heel and show just a little bit more shape in the foot. That would really help, I reckon. And just that other foot there as well. So I would have liked to see the calf muscle come out more, so more like that. So definitely have that calf kind of showing. Even so, I think that needs to go way down. So that would probably go down to about probably there. So yeah, there we go. So before and after. So just more of a calf, and we need that foot to come down way more. I just feel like it's a little too high there, a little tucked and a little awkward as well. Just that little part there kind of looks like it's like a right foot on a left foot in a way. So just by bending that out more, where are we? That out more and then in, that's definitely showing me that it's the other side of the foot. And this one, stretch it out more, make it a little larger, and that'd help heaps, I reckon. And I'm not quite sure what that black line is down there. Does she have like a mechanical thing on the back? If it is, that would have been really good to just add a little more detail into that to help it read a bit better. The rest is good. I really like your colouring, like the colours look really nice. Apart from that, I think that your work is really good. I'd probably like to see just some cleaner lines, so tidy up the lines just a little bit more. You've definitely cleaned them up a lot since you've started. I know you've been working really well on your line work, so if we keep pushing with that, you'll definitely be doing really well. There we go. I think something like that might be all right. Before it was just see how it can just get a bit sketchy, a bit wonky there. If we just get the consistency nice, just like that, just a bit of flow, nice, bit cleaner, it can make your work 1,000 times better. So that kind of thing. See that? Apart from that, you've done a really good job. Awesome work on this, I reckon. And yeah, I love that. Nice work, and such a good game. I really want to go back to it, but I don't have... it's only on PS3, so I don't really have my PS3 anymore, so that sucks. Yeah, all right. Hope that helps, Apex. That's awesome work, and I can't wait to see some more. Cyril, you've done this awesome action pose here. Look at this, skateboarding. Yeah, next up is Cyril, so I like this. This is cool, very energetic. Very cool pose as well. Here's your original sketches. I remember you were kind of asking which ones we should go for, and you also took advice from the last tutorial as well. So that's really cool to see your structure sketches here as well. Really nice setups, and definitely the best choice going for that one there. So let's dive into the critique. One of the first things I can notice, you've got a really good pose and you've executed it well, but I feel like it's just, this one has more energy, which I would have loved to see. So I feel like you had it right, and that would have been really cool to see. I'll show you something like that, you know. I really like what you had here. Even if I did angle it, you've got a bit more of an angle on it. And that's sick. That's awesome there. So I feel like you just lost a little bit of the energy of the first original sketch, but that's it. I just love that zoom energy, like having really stretching across like that, and I think that would really help. So if we just had him like pull him out and over a little bit more, I'll try and achieve that and show you what I mean. So even if it was like that, I feel like that's also gaining some foreshortening, which we really want. There we go. So I just shrunk his head just a little bit. So that's before and that's after. It's just tiny, but kind of helps. Made his legs a little bit more lanky. Now it's just this back arm here. It works in your sketch, but not so much in the finale. I don't know why. There's something about it. And I think all the hand needs now is just a little touch up. I'll just fix it. So I'm going to get your skin color, and I think we need to see that thumb. So you'll have that thumb part there, and then put the thumb out. And I think that'll really just tie it all up together, and now it kind of works. So now it kind of looks like we can have it lower as well. That's better. Bring it out a little bit. There we go. So the hand will work now. So you can see that the wrist would definitely go about here. Bicep, like you've got your shoulder, you can actually see the shoulder. Then the bicep and tricep will definitely be coming around that way. Meanwhile, it's all kind of shaped like this. And then you'll have your wrist, comes down. And this is where your fingers start. And then that goes around. So your fingers will kind of be all, like, think of them like cylinders like that. And they're all going that way. And this thumb is going that way, pointing out that way. And the other main finger, you could have that other finger there if you wanted to. Yeah, I probably would. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of fixed. Feels a bit better, and he's kind of really balancing it out. I've stretched out his pose a lot more, so I'm much happier with that. And I think that's working really well. You've got some really nice stuff going on here. I think it's great. I'd probably like to see just like a line coming from there. I'd like to see that chest line, you know, where the chest gets quite dark under there. So something like that, kind of stretching across, and then you'll have the chest there. And I'd probably just under the shirt as well. I can see that the shirt's kind of lifted. I reckon it'd be cool to even just get that darker color and really just fill it in. So it looks like so it's quite dark underneath the shirt. And that's about it, really. Like, I think that the rest is really good. You're doing a really good job. You've got some really nice line work as well. And I like how you've colored your lines. You've got some really nice stuff going on here. Nice texture on the board. You've got a cool cartoony kind of style. It's very professional. Like, you're doing a great job, and I really like this. So here's the original. That's the original there, and then we added a lot more motion to it. So he's like really sliding across. You really want that energy of him, you know, the momentum of him like really zooming across and grinding this rail. I also would like to see, I'd really love to see some sparks from the grind coming out. Like, really just have a lot of, like, you know, whether that's only super rough, but like, see how just adding some of those grind sparks would like be really cool. So original to now. And I love how you've got that shadow up the back, that casted shadow from the ramp as well. So really, really cool. I'd probably even do a just one final once over with the dodge tool, kind of like that, to really, because you've got this casted shadow here, which means the sun is quite intense on him. So really have a bit more of a sunlight kind of beaming on him, lighten up that pose a bit more, not too much, just a little bit more ambience on it. Even if I get the saturate, the sponge tool, and I've set it to saturate. I've got the sponge tool now and I've set it to saturate, and I'm just kind of giving that a once over as well and seeing what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Even on the shirt there, it's kind of adding a bit more warmth to it. So before and after. Before and after, just adding some energy. All right, that's it, Cyril. That'll do. I think that should help a lot. Awesome pose. You've chosen a really cool pose there. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Thanks for your submission. I really love your work. All right, next up is Abby's work. Have a look at this. Abby, you've done Wolverine, full action. This is awesome. You've done a great job. You've progressed so well. Nice to see an action pose from you as well. That's really cool. Something different. Yeah, I like this. Let's have a look. Let's start the critique a bit. Okay, one of the first things I'll mention is the explosion here in the back. I don't know if it really works as well for your style. They're both kind of different in a way. Do you know what I mean? They're different kind of artistic elements. You're more of your style is definitely more of a comic, like cartoony kind of cell shaded flat style, which is good. So I think that you'd want to match it with anything that you do around it. So when it comes to skies as well, the clouds, they're a bit too realistic. They're like photorealistic kind of clouds, and almost realistic kind of explosion. So I think for your style, I would definitely lean towards doing something. So even just like with a really basic flat backdrop, is quite good, but we need to add some elements and detail to it. So even if you did just do a little subtle glow behind him of, just say it's a sky, and then just in Photoshop, get a solid brush, just like super solid. Let's have a look. There we go. And if I just get like an orange, like any kind of orange, and then we'll just muck around and try and do like a really cool explosion. Doesn't matter what it is, muck around, just have some random shapes in there. Maybe there you go. What if it was, something like that? And then have some explosion kind of streaks coming out even. Maybe do something like that. And then on top of that, I'm going to do another layer with like a lighter kind of, shade of something. And I'm just going to kind of fill in some blotches, and it just has to be, you can keep it quite rough. And I'm just kind of trying to muck around and see what kind of stuff comes out of it. You want it to be quite intense. You basically want this to be the most intense part, this kind of brighter orange kind of, color like that. And just muck around. You can start doing sketchier lines inside of it to get an effect like this. Just taking a couple of little sections out just to try and get it an explosive kind of effect there. Then I might just get in the back, get these back bits. Where are they? There we go. Lighten them up a bit maybe, or darken them, I don't know. Maybe I'll lighten this middle bit up. Yeah, that's better. So I'll lighten up anything in the center a little bit more. So again, this is with the dodge tool, and I'm just using with the explosion, just kind of brush in the middle, and I'm getting some more intensity in the lighter section now. I want to get these streaks and kind of tone them down a bit. They're a bit too intense for me now. There we go. I don't even know if I like those streaks actually, those energetic streaks. Oh, they're all right. So basically, well, why don't we add to it? Go to the sky. I'm going to get the sky one. I'm going to make the most of that. I'm just getting a soft kind of brush. Let's just keep going. If I set it to screen, we'll see what happens. Yes, there we go. I'm going to set it to quite a large hard brush and just keep brushing out. We'll get that zoom effect. Let's just keep adding to that kind of zoom effect. There we go, just something like that. And then I'll just lighten the sky up a bit there. There we go. Something like that, I think, Abby. Let's have a look at your original, and I'll just show you the difference between these. So that's the original there, and do you see what I mean with the elements? And they just kind of don't match with the style of the artwork. But if you take that away and you just do something super simple, sometimes the simpler, the better. So just keep it nice and simple to tie in with your style. And this is cool. This is awesome. Like, you could put this, like, get this printed onto a kid's wall or something like that. They'd love it. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now let's have a look at Wolves himself. I would love to see, I'll just show you. I would love to see Wolverine with just sticker outlines around the outside. So all we need to do is you get your Wolverine layer. I'm just double clicking, like, try it out next time and just see what you think. And I'm just going to go stroke. So I double clicked on his layer to the layer styles. They come up. And then I'm in the stroke. Let's just see what it does if we just take it up to about, let's go 5. Not too much. We won't go too intense. There we go. So I think that's cool. I like that. I think this is where your stuff should be leaning towards, this kind of stuff. You've got a really cool style. So I like that a little better. So see, without the outlines, so without, it's just a little lost. Like it needs something to hold it together. And there we go. So I think that's really cool to just add those in. It's totally up to you. This is your character, your art. So this is just kind of what I think would work well. Now what I'm doing now is I'll show you. So the outline's only on the outside, but I'd like to touch up some areas. So under the chin, I like to always do under the chin. That's cool. Yeah. And the only other thing, I'd probably just do a couple of little tweaks with the, let me have a look. I'm going to do a Liquify. I love doing the Liquify. Let's have a look. So I think we could probably make him a bit broader. He's Wolverine after all. So let's go let's see what he looks like if I go quite broad. So I'm pulling him out either side. I'm just going to make him really thick. Okay, there we go. So that's before and that's after. Before and after. So I just made him quite stocky, like quite wide. I just warped him a little bit. That's how I like more Wolverines, but like I said, this is your picture, so it can be this is your variation of him. It doesn't have to be like that. So yeah, I hope that helps. This has been fun. I really love your stuff. So yeah, like I said, just thicker outlines. I'd love to see you hold them together a bit more. So that's before and after. So before and after, just that difference with the just try and stick to that kind of style, flat colors. You know, the really simplistic kind of style I think would really work well for you, and you can excel in that if you just keep practicing at it. You'll get really good at it, and you'll have a lot of fun with it as well. So yeah, hope that helps, Abby. Your work's awesome. Thank you. Okay, last up of the critiques is Eric. You've done Harley Quinn. This is so cool. Look at this. I like this one. And I like the flag too. That's cool. Puddin', Mr. J. Yeah, this is well executed. This is good. Now you've got some good line weight through your outlines. I like how they're nice and bold, really holding the character together. And I like the simplistic style as well. One of the main things I'd probably work on is see how I can see you've got this kind of shine effect that comes through on there. It's kind of a little bit of a mismatch with the style, that's all. So just I get what you were trying to do. It's more of like a shimmer or a shine from the red. But I think it'd be best to keep it out, and I'll show you a good technique to try and achieve it a bit better. So what you could do is, so I've just removed those now. And if you want to get that effect, let's just get a white. We'll start with white. I'm on a new layer. I might just take it down to about 75%. And I'm just going to do some streaks over it. So that'll just give it a nice little shine. Now when we get to the crutch areas like this is where the wrinkles will start to happen a bit more. So start playing around with some streaks like that. And then I want to go up to the hips and just keep going up. Now I'll get down to the legs. This is where the knee bends. So any of those, you kind of want to have a couple of those little sketchy lines through. Now this is quite thick. I'm going to thin them right out. This is just a rough throw over because I'm on a new layer. I can really do whatever I want with it. So I'm just mucking around. See how I'm just chipping away and erasing parts that I don't like. Notice how I'm not really worrying about this part of the arm. Don't really need to because it's kind of coming down. I want it to be more in shadow. Whereas this one, all the light's kind of hitting it from straight down onwards. So, all right. So that's the effect, but it's not done. I'm going to get my eraser out, a soft brush of an eraser, and I'm just going to start, fading over some parts quite intensely in some areas. And this is just, you still get that nice cell shaded look, but we can fade off bits, and it's going to it's going to leave that nice glossy kind of effect to it. So you can leave some areas almost quite intense, like there's full strength, and then you can erase some parts away as well. So this is a really good way to kind of render your character if you've got this shiny effect. Now keep that in mind. It's only for if you're doing shiny latex, like you can have super white intense kind of areas. So there we go. Another thing I just want to point out is I think the shading's a bit off on the red parts of the body. I'll just fix that. It just seems to me that these parts here are almost dark. Well, they are darker than this is quite light, which means your light source is coming from under, which overall, in general, it doesn't really happen. So I'd like to flip that. So I'll just quickly muck around with it. Now, since we have that shiny, I'll just show you as well. So that's before with the other that you had originally, and then I've kind of flipped it. So look at this leg here. So after. So before and after. So it just feels a little bit better. The light's kind of in the right place. All right. So I would like to just get this part, I would like to add just another level of cell shading, and I think it would really, really help. There we go. I'll just fade that back a little bit so it's not so intense, and I'll just show you. So that's before the shading and then after. Just that one little level of flat shading can really, really help. That's before we got started, and you've still, remember that first shine you had on there, and then now. So we've got a nice sharp, solid shine on there, and that nice shadowing as well, that sharp cell shaded shadowing. And another thing that I wouldn't mind seeing is probably just some cleaner lines on your character. It's just a little inconsistent up here. I'd like to get just a nice smooth kind of flow like that, just nice and smooth. Just comes across a little bumpy, but it's not too bad. You actually done a pretty good job there, and it's quite, I like the value that it's got, like, so you got thin to thick, which is really good. And I would probably just like to see, especially around the face here, see just with the mouth and such, I'll just show you what we can do. Okay, there we go. I've just cleaned up the lines for you. Probably just needs a little bit more around just the chin there, but I basically just wanted to do the head, so we can just get a clear look and see how it could work with some nice clean lines. You see how I'll just take this away, so that's before, and then after. It's just a bit more clarity, you know. It'll really, you can really get a good look at that face now, and it just ups the quality a bit more too. So nice and crisp. Can really go a long way. So yeah, I reckon that'd really, really help your character and your work just all around. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that. Everything else looks really good. I like the anatomy. It's a really cool pose too, really good action pose. And everything else is looking really good. So I think that's just a few things to keep in mind. We got some shading, and those little shine effects as well. Let's go to the original. So that's the original, and then after. So let's zoom in again. The original, you see the shading and all the shiny effects and the face. So there we go. Yeah, I reckon that should help a lot. Love your work, Eric. Thanks heaps for that. I appreciate your submission, and I look forward to seeing more from you. Thanks. And here's a last minute submission from Lily. She usually gets the critique, but she mentioned that for this one it's unfinished, just to kind of showcase it this time round. So yeah, this is Beetlejuice dressed up as Mandalorian, and he's getting chased by one of the sandworm, and it's like the one from Beetlejuice. So yeah, that's a cool mashup. I like that. He's kind of running away from it. So yeah, cool work, Lily. I wouldn't mind seeing that finished. I think that's great. And that's it. That's it for this monthly project. Number 10. I can't believe I've done 10 now. So that's 10 months we've been doing this. Yeah, action poses. Really, really cool idea, I think, for a monthly project. I wanted to keep it really fun. So I think it's really important that we, you know, some action, some high action stuff can really get the juices flowing, and, you know, it's one of the most fun things to do. Time for me to plan the next one, so I'm about to announce that soon on Patreon. So I'm about to announce the next monthly project. That was a big one. That was massive. That's probably one of the biggest monthly projects we've had. So yeah, thank you everyone for your submissions. They've all been awesome, and you've all been hard at work. It's really good to see the creativity. So yeah, well done. And yeah, I look forward to the next one. I'm always loving seeing your stuff. So keep sending it through, keep drawing, and just have fun with it. Let the juices flow. All right, everyone. I'll see you next time. Thank you.